So it's unfortunate that Republicans have taken a seemingly bipartisan issue and included it as part of their scam to subsidize tax giveaway for billionaires. They haven't proposed anything that will improve the efficiency of the government. Instead, they have put the country on a path to a recession and implemented the largest tax increase on Americans in decades through Trump's tariffs.
Representative Jasmine Crockett, a Democratic congresswoman from Texas, has had multiple public conflicts and critical exchanges involving President Donald Trump, reflecting sharp political and personal disagreements. Key issues and incidents between Jasmine Crockett and Donald Trump: Trump's personal attacks on Crockett in March 2025. After Crockett referred to Texas Governor Greg Abbott as Governor Hot Wheels, a jab at Abbott's wheelchair use and policies, Trump responded by calling Crockett a lowlife and a very low-IQ person during a conservative radio interview. He also accused her of lying about her comments and suggested that the accused Democratic Party would suffer politically if they elevated her to leadership positions. Trump expressed disbelief that Crockett was a politician, initially mistaking her for a comedian due to her outspoken style. Crockett's criticism of Trump's policies and administration. Crockett has been vocally critical of Trump's administration on several fronts, including immigration policies, economic decisions, and governance style. She criticized the Trump administration's handling of immigration, particularly the deportation and treatment of immigrants, and condemned the administration's chaos agenda. She also highlighted the detrimental effects of Trump's tariff wars on American farmers and consumers, calling the tariffs crazy and unnecessary. Crockett has questioned why Trump's mental fitness to serve has not been scrutinized more rigorously, contrasting it with the criticism faced by President Joe Biden. Public walkout during Trump's congressional address in March 2025. Crockett was among the Democratic members of Congress who walked out during a joint address by Trump to Congress. She described his speech as nonsense and garbage and emphasized her commitment to fiercely oppose him and his policies. This walkout was a coordinated protest by Democrats, signaling strong opposition to Trump's agenda and rhetoric. Crockett's strong rhetoric at the Democratic National Convention. At the 2024 Democratic National Convention, Crockett publicly labeled Trump a career criminal, referencing his multiple indictments, impeachments, and controversies. She contrasted Trump's record with that of Vice President Kamala Harris, portraying Harris as a career prosecutor and Trump as a figure with a criminal record. This speech highlighted Crockett's role as a vocal critic of Trump within the Democratic Party. Ongoing political and media engagement. Crockett frequently appears on media platforms like MSNBC and YouTube to discuss and denounce Trump's policies and administration tactics. She frames the political climate as one of crisis and calls for accountability, often using strong language to describe the Trump era and its impact on American governance and society. In summary, the issues between Jasmine Crockett and Donald Trump center on sharp political opposition, personal insults exchanged publicly, and Crockett's vocal criticism of Trump's policies and conduct. Trump has responded with derogatory remarks, while Crockett continues to challenge his legacy and influence in American politics through speeches, media appearances, and legislative activity. Jasmine Crockett responded to Donald Trump's derogatory comments about her with firm rejection and continued criticism of his administration. After Trump called her a lowlife and a very low-IQ person, Crockett did not retreat. Instead, she maintained her outspoken stance against him and his policies. Crockett characterized the Trump administration as akin to an abusive relationship that many Americans feel trapped in, highlighting the dysfunction and harm caused by his second term, including issues like deportation defiance, economic turmoil, and foreign policy failures. She criticized the lack of accountability and courage among Republicans in Congress to challenge Trump, especially regarding his irrational tariff war and the administration's disregard for Supreme Court rulings, such as the case involving Kilmer Abrego Garcia. Crockett also expressed astonishment that Trump's mental fitness and sharpness to serve were not being questioned, contrasting this with the scrutiny former President Joe Biden faced. and emphasizing the risks posed by Trump's policies on everyday Americans' livelihoods. When Trump mocked her and suggested she was more of a comedian than a politician, Crockett remained undeterred, continuing to use her platform to call out his administration as failures and to fight for her constituents. She has publicly stated that her role is to push back against what she sees as weakness and to speak truths others avoid, refusing to be intimidated by Trump's insults or by figures like Elon Musk. In summary, Crockett responded to Trump as personal attacks by doubling down on her criticism of his administration, as policies and conduct framing her opposition as a necessary fight for democracy and accountability. Rather than backing down or engaging in personal retaliation, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett responded to the shooting of Dallas police officers in Oak Cliff with a heartfelt and solemn statement. She expressed that she was heartbroken to learn of the fatal shooting that killed Officer Deon Burks and injured 2 others. Crockett prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured officers and for the safety of the Oak Cliff community. She emphasized the urgent need to address the epidemic of gun violence in the country, stating, "We must do more to address the epidemic of gun violence in our country. I pray for healing, but I am working towards action to stem the tide of these tragedies." Additionally, Crockett personally knew Officer Burks and described him as a funny, salt-of-the-earth kind soul who selflessly lost his life in the line of duty. She thanked him for his service and friendship and urged people to check in on their loved ones, highlighting the human impact of such tragedies. Her response combined personal grief with a call for policy action to reduce gun violence and support the community affected by the shooting.
Resolution that defunded approximately $1 billion from them, but I will focus on today's hearing. The Republicans' recklessness and chaotic approach to reducing the size of government has shown us what we've already known. Concepts of a plan don't work. This is the committee's 4th hearing, and still no one from the so-called Department of Government Efficiency has testified before this committee about their plans to break the federal government, because as it turns out, breaking the federal government doesn't just hurt people you don't like. It's not just going to be Democrats who miss out on Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, or only Democratic veterans who will miss out on their VA benefits. Their approach will negatively impact all Americans. So it's unfortunate that Republicans have taken a seemingly bipartisan issue and included it as part of their scam to subsidize tax giveaway for billionaires. They haven't proposed anything that will improve the efficiency of the government. Instead, they have put the country on a path to a recession and implemented the largest tax increase on Americans in decades through Trump's tariffs. This hearing is their latest attempt to try to convince the American people that dismantling public-facing agencies will somehow improve government efficiency. Let me tell you, it won't. There's nothing efficient about terminating leases for IRS taxpayer assistance centers during tax season, nor dismantling farmer support offices in rural communities while farmers are trying to survive Trump's tariffs. And just like their trade policy, there isn't any logic or strategy behind the Trump administration's reductions in force or accelerated disposal of federally owned property. It has been discussed that managing federal property has been on GAO's high-risk list for more than 2 decades. Currently, GAO has almost 60 recommendations that the administration could fully implement, but decided to ignore. And I'm gonna veer off for 2 seconds because all I kept hearing was fire. Fire, fire, fire is what I heard. And as I heard fire, it seems like we are talking about an administration that has been hell-bent on firing government workers. They are hell-bent on engaging in fire sales of our government buildings. And while we are at it, they are lighting the Social Security on fire, Medicaid on fire, Medicare on fire, 401ks on fire, Department of Education on fire. And instead, what we need to light on fire are Trump's tariffs. In fact, we could probably go a little bit further and fire this incompetent administration. But if we are going to talk about efficiency and worry about some solar panels, whatevers, let's talk about the fact that as of March 30th, Trump's golfing has cost us approximately $26 million. And the last time I checked, we're not getting anything in return for that. So I will get back on my remarks, but I just wanted to point out that maybe we need to talk about the president and his golfing habits. In fact, he decided that he was going to golf as the markets were tanking. He decided he was going to golf instead of receiving 4 heroes who died serving this country. He has decided that he wanted to play games while the rest of us are really trying to make sure that we can serve the American people. So, Mr. Maroney, you were quoted in the New York Times article dated March 17th, stating that it is important for officials to have a plan to generate the most savings and that, quote, all of these moving parts point to the need for some deliberate planning. Did the administration consult with GAO regarding their plans to dispose of hundreds